I was there working until like 1:30 in the morning. The energy just went through the floor. And I said, I am so tired, I cannot even drive home. And I found the cleanest car to get in. And I got in the back and slept until 6 a.m., went home, showered, and went right back to work. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. I am doing something wrong.
You ever worked so hard and so long that you ended up sleeping at work overnight? I think a lot of us can identify with that. I know that I had a cot in the shop back in the early 2000s, and I would frequently just sleep at the shop and take a shower in the morning and go back to work. In today's episode, we talked with Josh Rainwater from Louisville, Kentucky. He shared a little bit about his struggles bringing the shop up from scratch, and that very same experience that I know a lot of us identify with. I think you're going to enjoy it.
The following program features a bunch of doofuses talking about the automotive aftermarket. The stuff we or our guests may say do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of our peers, our sponsors, or any other associations we may have. There may be some spicy language in this show, so if you get your feelings hurt easily, you should probably just move along. So without further ado, it's time for Confessions of a Shop Owner with your host, Mike Allen.
All right, so we're recording again at Fuel and Connections 2025. We're actually in one of the offices at NASCAR Technical Institute here in Morrisville, North Carolina. Having a good time. Josh is in the big auditorium right now teaching everybody about leadership, and his business is Limitless Leadership, right? So he's a coach specializing in coaching for service managers primarily, and so it's a very niche thing, but he's also talking to us a lot about how we can lead more effectively for our people to allow them to be successful. So I think that's a pretty neat conversation. And so there's a lot of really valuable content being had there, and what I decided to do was to pull Josh Rainwater out of that conversation so that you could not get all the benefit and you can just come in here and talk to us. So thanks for being willing to sacrifice on your development.
Always. At your service.
Much appreciated. So real quick, just introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what your shop's like, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So Josh Rainwater from Louisville, Kentucky. And so my background is mostly self-educated on the early side. So I really didn't grow up around cars, didn't get into, the automotive background until I started, during college. I was going to university and decided to get a project car. So learned how to fix cars based on that. And,
what kind of car was it?
83 GTI.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
Volkswagen
cool.
GTI.
Hey there. I'm going to tell you about something that has completely transformed how I run my shop, TechMetric. As a 20-year shop owner, outdated systems used to slow us down. Everything was clunky, from check-in to estimate building to customer updates. It all felt just super inefficient. Switching to TechMetric has changed everything. With TechMetric, you get a powerful shop management system that includes DVI, quick and easy estimate building, inventory management, real-time reporting, amazing customer communication, and it's really easy for your employees to learn how to use the software. I'm talking like a one-day learning curve. On top of that, TechMetric has tons of other tools to make you an even better operator. Stuff like integrated payments with buy now, pay later options is a huge asset. Ask me how I know. And recently, they've added a CRM component with their partnership with Shop Genie, which I'm a happy Shop Genie customer already, so I'm super excited about that. Now, obviously, there are a lot of factors at play here, but I want to give you some facts about my business since I made the change to TechMetric. In September of 2020, when I switched to TechMetric, my ARO was $293. In September of 2024, we were $916. That's over 300% growth. Now, I'm not saying that TechMetric created all of that change, but I'm 100% saying that I couldn't have come this far without TechMetric. It's a key factor in our growth and success. If you're ready to level up your shop, TechMetric has everything you need: productivity, revenue, customer experience. Measure up by every measure with TechMetric. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Many lessons were learned.
Oh, tons of lessons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
don't buy an 83 GPI
many lessons
when you're in
were learned.
college. Stay in college, kids.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, did that. And, probably in part based on what some of the decisions that were made around that car. I didn't finish college and I had to, figure out something to do afterwards. So, ended up going into the automotive field. And yeah, that was, oh my goodness, that was 14 years ago. So here we are. Yeah.
So how long ago did you go into business for yourself?
Yeah. So 5 years ago, during COVID, we didn't know what was going on, but the world was shutting down. Seems so long ago. It seems like it could have been 40 years ago.
Right.
But, yeah. But yeah, I had lost my job just due to, I think unsurety in the market. And,
Sure.
I had to figure out what I was going to do. Right. So, was I going to go, work for another shop? Was I going to go out of the field? I actually was talking with my girlfriend at the time about, hey, it'd be a really good opportunity to get into something with a little more like volunteer opportunity. And I just really wasn't sure. Really didn't know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. So I signed up for Uber. So yeah, that's a nice next logical step. Yeah. Never even took that first car ride because I was working on cars on the side and decided, hey, there's something here. Let me go all in on this.
Yeah.
So that's 5 years.
So were you at an Indy or a dealer or what?
Yeah, that's a good question. So most of my background is in Euro independent shops. I did do a small stint in the dealership and also worked on aircraft as well a little bit, during that time for about 2 years.
And so now your shop, is it primarily import or do you work on everything or?
Yeah, so we service a little bit of everything with a focus on shifting the business towards import. I want to be a Japanese-centric repair facility.
Sure.
And just trying to figure out how to make that transition work. I've heard a lot of people say, Japanese cars don't break and, maybe they don't break at the same rate.
I
but
don't know. They need a lot of service done.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Yeah.
And so,
they need a ton of service. It's no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. They have all the same components that every other car has.
For sure. For
yeah,
sure.
So that's where the business is transitioning towards and trying to figure that out.
Okay. Yeah. So 5 years into that, how's business?
How's business? Ooh, that is a good one. I'll just say this, there is so much opportunity in this industry. There is just, it seems like there is such unlimited growth potential. I just couldn't believe it. I'm still, like, even on the ride down, I was talking with Josh Coombs on the phone and just telling him, I'm like, hey, I don't have a traditional shop that's like, a store frontage on a main road. I'm in a warehouse currently, and there's not even a sign on the front. And I'm getting sometimes 50, 60 calls a day, like with new clients reaching out.
How are they finding you?
Google and word of mouth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
That's
we have to pump up a little bit more of our marketing budget into Google ads. But last week I was looking at the numbers. In 2 days, I got 150 phone calls.
I don't think you need to spend any more on Google
I think we're good.
You're probably good.
Yeah,
you could probably shift some of those dollars.
Yeah, you need to spend on recruiting and
hiring more guys.
That's
it. I'll scale it so we can actually serve all those people.
Sure.
Well, serve, the
customers that pass the
and
test.
serve those clients. Yeah,
the ones that pass the test. Yeah.
Qualify, schmalify. I want them all. Come on. So...
Yeah. Mike's like, unqualified money is the same number as or same value as qualified money, right?
If they got to use financing, that's fine. They still got to get their car fixed because they got to go to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they use financing, and if they default on that note, that's not my problem. Does that make me an evil shop owner?
No,
there are other things.
I had this conversation one time. Somebody, because these finance companies. We won't name any because we don't want to throw any under the bus. But they tend to do a thing where you get a certain period of interest free, right? And then if you don't get it paid off in that time, they jack it to the legal limit, right?
Yeah, astronomical.
Right? Cool story. So you get somebody's like, oh well, the car needed $5,000. If they can't afford the $5,000, they finance it and they miss out or whatever. I'm like, dude, that person will take that car, that broke ass car, down to the dealership, get $1,000 for it, and somebody will sell them a $30,000 car at a 7.9% interest. I go, what's the freaking difference?
Yeah.
So
I go, even if they have to pay the 24.9% on whatever the number is, $5,000, it's probably the same as their standard interest rate on a new auto loan, and they're buying it. I say a new auto loan because it's new to them, but they're probably for $30,000. They might be buying something used.
yeah, probably are buying something.
Probably are
used.
buying something used, so they got a 7.9% interest rate on something that's just going to break and need all that work in a few years anyways. Like,
Sure.
people call it predatory. I'm like, the salesman will freaking solve a $5,000 problem for $30,000. I mean, how predatory is it?
That's absolutely one of the things that Xander, who's the manager of my big store, I've heard him say it a dozen times. Don't solve a $5,000 problem with a $50,000 solution.
Yeah.
It's cool to have a new car, but you've got a new car payment for 6, 7, 8 years now. You're seeing these notes that
Is the average, did I see the average was like 70 months or something like that? People are paying, the average car payment is like, I'm going to screw the numbers up. So if I remember correctly, which is probably not correct, I thought for some reason it was $811 a month and the average length is 70 months.
Hey, everybody. I wanted to take a minute to tell you about the coaching organization I've been involved with for, over 20 years now. Elite. Elite Worldwide, they don't give you a one-size-fits-all solution. They tailor the coaching specifically to you and your shop. They pair you with an experienced coach who is either a current or a former shop owner, and they turn strategies into actual action and accountability and results. Whether it's improving your service advisor's sales, growing your shop, growing to multiple locations, they really have you covered. They've got training for all of those things. Clients of Elite really see results, higher profits, stronger teams, a better work-life balance. If you're ready to take the next step, visit eliteworldwide.com to schedule your discovery session. That's eliteworldwide.com to start working on your business rather than in it. Tell them that you heard about them on Confessions of a Shop Owner so that I get a pat on the back or maybe a box of chocolates or something. That would be awesome. Thanks.
That's what I'm relatively certain I saw.
so over $50,000.
Yes.
So yeah. So
Wow.
I think it's funny. HVAC unit at my house shit the bed last week, and we've had a couple of different companies come in and inspect and do quotes and everything, right? And it's a 14-year-old unit, and the compressor's dead. And so they're all saying, you really shouldn't fix this thing because something else is going to break. You should just get a new unit, right? Because it was selling a new unit. And the second quote came yesterday while we were at the board meeting. So I wasn't there to be with the guy. And the dude that came out was there talking to my wife. And he very much charmed my wife. And then he used this analogy with her. He said, it's like you have a 2007 Honda with 300,000 miles on it. And the car's only worth $4,000 and you're not going to spend $3,000 on repairs. You just get a new car. And I was like,
that's not a great analogy.
I was like, that's the worst possible analogy to use with me. He didn't know that.
You've got a relatively reliable import car when it's not in disrepair that somebody can stick $4,000 into and drive for another 10 years at a cost of $400 a year.
To drive another 1 year, it makes sense.
Oh my goodness.
Versus
with the
$1,200, $800 car payments.
That's what I tell people all the time. Like, oh man, I don't know if I should put I don't know if I should put a transmission in this thing.
So if this
Because
if this unit is $15,000 and the repair is $2,000, well, I might roll the dice and do the repair and see if I can get a few years.
Yeah,
and then replace all of the units because it's a multi-unit.
Yeah, we do that all the time. People are like, oh man, I don't know if I should put $5,000 into this truck because what if something else?
It's
happens
not even worth that much.
Yeah, what if something else happens in a year? I'm like, okay, so that's $500 a month. Go show me somewhere where you can buy a new pickup truck for $500.
A functional 4-wheel drive for $500 a month.
That's not just going to break over again.
Well, even on the used stuff, it's like, okay, this vehicle's worth $5,000. What are you replacing it with? Another $5,000 truck that's also going to need the same thing, right?
We see it all the time. We see we put a motor in a 2018 a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
Yeah. So somebody thinks like, oh, I get rid of this 2012 and I'm going to go get this 2018 and I'm going to cruise trouble-free into the sunset. And then they're a year into their 2018 and it needs a freaking $17,000 long block job. Like, how's that cruising into the sunset working for you? Yeah. It's not going too great.
So that was a tangent.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure. No, it's
that
okay.
was mostly my fault.
Yeah, well, most of the things that go wrong here are Braxton's fault, so it's refreshing that something would be doing.
I'm just trying to take the heat off him.
So last night we were at the hotel and we just set up in the lobby and recorded, and we had a couple different people sit down. But one of the things we talked about at the very end was I teased something that we were going to talk about on our next recording, and it's our next recording right now. Oh, and I want to go back to Josh and give him a chance to talk a little bit more about his shop. But first, Josh, I want you to hear about a side hustle that Brian's got to make a little bit of extra money right now.
No, not right now. It was last fall.
Tell.
Oh, it was last fall? It's time to re-up your subscription then.
I don't have a subscription.
Okay.
They pay me. That's how this works.
Okay. So tell us about this side hustle.
So I was sitting around a campfire with some friends, and there was some conversation happening. And one of my friends, she actually bet me that I said, well, how did this go? I said, people are so dumb. I said, even I could sell pictures of my feet and make money.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So I found out like the number one place to sell pictures of your feet is this thing called Feet Finder. And it's very easy to make an account. Feet Finder.
Okay.
So, if you just search Bigfoot, and then there's some numbers. I have to look up the numbers in my email address. But, I made $150 on there and then $50 on the bet that I couldn't make money.
Are you serious?
$150. There was it took off like crazy the first week. It was like $100 the first week, and then some rolled in afterwards. Yeah, it's been like $50 in the last 6 months.
Feetfinder.com.
Don't keep me waiting.
What's your username?
See what you're working
with.
It's
Bigfoot, and then there's numbers. I can't remember the numbers because, as you could imagine, on a thing called Feet Finder, there's more than one person called Bigfoot.
View, buy, and sell feet pics.
I'm on the sell portion. Yeah.
10 million plus feet pics sold, 80 million plus money spent.
Yeah.
So that would tell you that's an average of $8.
You'll get messages on there, and the weirdest one I got is somebody offered to pay to me take a video of stepping in cream cheese.
Okay. Yeah.
So anytime
are they going to pay for the cream cheese and then pay on top? I mean, that's a lot of cream cheese.
I didn't investigate, and that was a huge booster for me because I realized that like sometimes I'm pretty critical of myself in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really not that messed up. I'm like, somebody out there is like trying to get someone else to step into cream cheese.
So I
am the one that put my feet pictures on the Feet Finder.
But do you have a profile, or are you catfishing?
No, I used my actual feet.
Oh, okay.
Now I do have a friend. I threatened to take a picture of her feet and put on there because I'm like, dude, you just need to take a picture of your feet and put on there. You'll make bank. And I'm like, if you don't do it, I'll take a picture of your feet and I'll put it on there. I'll split it with you. Like, nobody's going to know.
This is Bigfoot. I got to stop. I'm not trying to find pictures of your feet online.
I would suggest.
Now you're on a watch list.
I would suggest not typing those things into your phone.
It's too late.
That's the best advice I can give you.
My wife's going to get she's going to pull up our shared Chrome account because it links. She's like, what is your history feed?
I just have to know, what is your handle on that site?
It's Bigfoot. It's like an 8 or something. I can't remember. It's like 5. Like when you get a generic username because there's like 50 other people with the same username. Like Google suggests something. That's what it was. Bigfoot something. I'd have to go look it up.
Oh, come on. I'm looking up your email. I bet it's the 3 numbers you have on the end of your personal Gmail.
It's not that.
Oh, okay.
It's not that.
I'm just gonna.
It's not that. It's like a bunch of numbers.
I'm flying to Vegas next week for Napa Now, their 100-year celebration thing. Probably just gonna search feetfinder.com on the plane the whole way to try to find your feet.
There you go.
Because then I'm putting them up on the content page.
I mean, you can have a picture for free. I already made my money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's already
the cost. The investment cost is. Which it didn't cost me anything. I just had to take a picture and quit drinking for a few minutes while I was taking the pictures. Wasn't really a big deal.
So what's your revenue per minute of labor on that? Is it better than working in the shop?
It's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
I probably had, and I was a little intoxicated, so
No, you don't say.
Yeah, so I probably had 15 minutes into that whole project. So I'm 15 minutes in on $150, and I was not going to be doing anything else anyways.
Look, here's the deal. I like to think that I'm pretty good at running an auto repair shop. It's what I've done for 20 plus years, but I'm not good at managing a marketing budget and all the different facets of a truly well-rounded marketing plan. There's mail, there's local advertising, there's website, there's Google AdWords, there's all the different things that go into that, and it's just not what I'm good at. So what I've chosen to do is to buy myself the time to focus on what I am good at, while having someone else execute on all of those things at a way higher level than anything I could ever do. That's what turnkey auto marketing does for me. So if you feel like you could use some of that same magic, I'm going to recommend that you go to turnkeyautomarketing.com, get a free consultation, tell them that I sent you, tell them that Confessions of a Shop Owner sent you. You won't be disappointed.
And I think there's grass in the background because I literally took the picture outside by the campfire. I didn't even go inside. I just freaking whipped my boots off, took a picture, put them back on, posted.
I can smell the foot stink.
It was pretty bad.
Picture.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So, have you ever posted pictures
On
of
that
yourself online
bombshell?
for money?
Riveting.
This is the type of quality content that we bring to you here at Confessions of a Shop Owner.
Hopefully that one doesn't go viral.
I don't know how we recover from that. I should not have taken us there. I apologize.
We really jumped the shark.
Just so bad. So, tell me the name of your shop again. I'm sorry.
Its name is Honest Mechanic.
Honest Mechanic.
I like
in Kentucky. And booked out crazy, phone's ringing off the hook, not doing any marketing. So I would keep not doing marketing, right? Why are you going to spend money on it if you are busy as you could possibly be? How many people on the team right now?
Yeah. Technician and myself. So
Okay. Just
there's
two
a
of you.
lot
Yeah.
of opportunity for, growth and expansion.
Sure.
It's hard. It's got to be hard to be productive if the phone's ringing off the hook like that.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Do you send them a
The
voicemail,
hats, everybody talks about the hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is. It really is. It's hard. I think, what I've seen is there is a certain base level of investment, whether it's time, whether it's money, that the smaller shops are slightly disadvantaged at over a large shop. Like if you're buying service info, you're buying it for your shop. There's one price. So if you divide that out amongst every
I've had this conversation
turned,
with people
yes,
about how it's a lot easier for me to screw something up than it is maybe for somebody else to screw
Sure.
something up. It's a lot less painful.
Sure. Yeah. And then so I think because of that, it makes it, even if we're talking about time, because time is a resource. And so, a lot of these, it takes a lot of like front loading, I call it, like to get, the day started, to get, the ball rolling.
There's a lot of pre-planning.
There
so
is
you
a
can
lot
keep
of
moving
pre-planning.
as much as possible.
Yeah. So this is definitely an area where the potential for growth is great. And what do they say? The harvest is plenty and the workers are few. So,
Yeah.
So that's it.
So I'm just trying to put myself in that position. If there's huge demand for your services and there's limited quantity of your service available, the more time you spend on the phone, the more distraction it is from fixing the cars, and it slows down throughput a little bit.
Sure.
Thinking about some of the new tools that are available in the market now for automated phone answering, that can answer the most common questions and set appointments and that kind of stuff. Do you have a website with online booking or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
We do have that.
And there's, all the major players now have options that provide that in online booking, and so that would help with some of that. I'm excited about that direction in development because we're getting about 450 calls a week, and we're missing about 80 calls.
I had just this morning a message from a shop owner that said he's been busy recently, and a lot more calls have been going to voicemail than normal. And he said a fair amount of those calls, like nearing 50%, are not calling back and they're booking online.
What does his voicemail message say if you're calling to book an
I don't
appointment?
know. I couldn't tell you. We got
Yeah.
we got rid of our voicemail because we said we were going to call you back, and that ain't happening.
So what's the process on that? Is it, hey, we missed a call, we are giving you a call back, or if it's like, if you need us, you'll call us again? What is your guys' process?
So there's an opportunity for improvement there. I think currently
Same for us.
the VoIP system converts the voicemail into an email with the transcript, and then sends it out to everybody on the service counter.
Yes.
And then whomever gets to it to respond first, we have a Slack channel. It's just like, hey, I got this customer handled, whatever it might be. But the voicemail message says, if you've reached this call during business hours, we're busy helping other clients. If you're calling to book an appointment, leave a message and we'll call you back, or you can book an appointment online, and it gives the website. But the AI tools that are being developed can just say, if you're calling to book an appointment, I can help you with that. If you have a question about our hours, I can, so how can I help you? Right.
Yeah.
And it can go through the process of collecting the customer's information and the details,
all that stuff,
and book the appointment for
all
them.
that stuff. Massive corporations have had access to for years, or developed for years, is now making its way down to where.
Well, I think
We're
it's
gonna be
cool
able
if
to do
the
that.
AI, which is conversational, almost conversational at this point, can say, hey, if you're calling to book an appointment, I can take your information and book the appointment for you, or I can send you a link and you can do it right now. And it will send a link back to the number that's calling in.
That's great.
And so there are a lot of people that have that in pilot right now. And I think it's a race to see who can get it really high level functioning.
As soon as they get that refined, we're not much for paying for add-on services, but we'll probably have that.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty damn slick.
You get me somebody who can make an appointment. If it can make appointments with a 70% success rate, we'll go ahead.
Yeah. That'd be
Well, and it can also, if you have various systemic process-driven scripts on how you answer customer questions, you can teach it how to answer the common customer questions.
Yeah.
Hey, how much? I need a price for brakes on this. Well, I know how that my advisor is supposed to answer that, and it's got nothing to do with prices on brakes.
Yeah, it's got to.
So I can teach
Get
the
it here
AI.
now. Thanks. We'll check it out for free. Have a nice day.
You can teach the AI how to do that, right? And
A more refined version of that.
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
but
correct.
Yeah.
But to your, I guess, getting back to maybe a larger point, we're talking about, small shop owners versus maybe larger shop owners, that takes time to develop those processes.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, sure
a
does.
lot of the advice that I do get is coming from large shops where it's like, yeah, this is a great goal to have. And this is like, let's put it on the wall as something we can work towards. But for somebody like myself or, a smaller shop owner, like getting out of the shop long enough to even implement to teach an AI learning model, like that seems like an unachievable goal.
Something
right now.
that really struck me in there that Josh, when he was presenting, was talking about was how much time in shops, whether it's a large shop or a smaller shop, I would argue that it's more impacting, like many things are more difficult for a smaller shop. How much time you spend playing versus how much time you spend practicing.
Yeah.
You have less time for practice.
I practice while I'm at work. That's why
you
I am
have
literally
to play. You
OJT.
You can't practice, and that's been a huge hold up for us. Jim and I have had this conversation on how, we get irritated if something doesn't go right, but there's never we're slammed all the time. There's like even our guys. There's never any practice opportunity.
Yeah.
It's just go, connect, complete.
The lumberjack is chopping the tree.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Doesn't have enough time to
Keep
sharpen
swinging
the
your
axe.
axe, buddy. Keep swinging it. So it's a thing, man.
So I just got a message, and I apologize for being distracted. Evidently, Dutch is being Dutch in the room in there.
Is he co-opted? Is he taking over the presentation?
I guess so awesome.
It's been a hostile takeover.
He's been a hostile questioner of the speaker. Awkward.
The thing
Dutch,
with
why do you do this?
Dutch has a lot of life experience, so if you're not used to arguing with Dutch, he can back you into a corner very quickly because I'm going to say it, arguing for Dutch is a sport.
Yeah,
It's
like
a sport. It's not personal.
Yeah.
It's a sport. It's a pastime.
he
for
has
him.
fun arguing.
And he really is good. Like you're not going to do too great at making points against Dutch unless like you're.
Yeah, you got to
be
come
like-
with the ammo.
You have to be an expert in what you're talking about if you're going to make a point against him. And even then, he will let you know that you are in fact wrong and he is in fact right.
Yeah, he doesn't have to prove that he's right. He just has to prove you're wrong.
And he's been very successful. So what do you say to him? You know what I mean? What do you say?
You just make fun of him.
Yeah.
Just make it personal and
Listen
insulting.
here, you cantankerous old man.
I've got more hair than you, Dutch. Ha ha. So anyway, I have a mini confession. Got a message today. Obviously not at the shop. We had a client who came in for AC service and replacing a condenser. Shipped the car last night. It's back this morning. AC is not working.
That was definitely Braxton's fault, as usual.
Shipped the car last night. It's back this morning. AC is not working. The technician in question is off for the next 5 days.
I saw the text message.
And so the technician who gets it is like, well, pressure switch not plugged in. I imagine that might have an effect on that. So that tells me that we shipped a car without ever confirming that the repair was done and functional.
Yeah.
And that is a point of great frustration. Mm-hmm. So
it would be less frustrating if it wasn't such a binary system to a point where it either works or it doesn't. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like if it was like...
It's not like it would intermittently work without a pressure switch.
This thing misfires every once in a while.
Sure.
Like it's not like you're chasing that down. It's like the thing came in blowing hot. Does it blow cold now? And the answer is they don't know.
So the question becomes, though, kind of what we were hearing from the speaker earlier. You know, do we seek first to understand, or do we assume that it
Thor's
wasn't
hammer.
Plugged in?
Yeah.
Well, is it possible that it was plugged in but not clipped all the way?
I'm not saying it's okay that like that. You know,
What if the pressure switch is
breakdown.
damaged and it pushed out? Or you don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean,
right, without looking.
100 situations.
You have to
So
have pictures, I guess. I don't know.
So, I mean, the conversation then is, hey, man, because he's not going to be back until Wednesday next week. Hey, this car came back the next morning. The AC wasn't working. Mm-hmm. Were you able to do a QC check after you finished the repair? Did you document that QC? Because I'm already going to know that the answer is no, he didn't document it because I checked. It's not documented. Or at least it... And look, sometimes they write confirmed repair because they're pencil whipping the C's.
I like readings and numbers that are not generic.
Yeah.
Like if I repaired something,
Post-repair
I'm like,
pressures and
confirmed
vent
voltage
temp.
drop is now 0.02 volts on circuit or whatever, right? Yeah. Vent temperature was 43 degrees. Exterior temperature was 81 degrees or whatever the numbers are, right?
So is that a write-up in your business or is that just a conversation?
No, we wing it. That's ball busting. You're going to get your balls busted. It's going to be
how many times
ball busting
are that many types of oversight mistakes allowed before it becomes a bigger conversation?
Well, there's different, as long as it's not the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Well, that's an attention to detail fault is what it feels like. And maybe it pushed the plug out. Maybe the plug tab was broken in it or something. But
would you ever consider having that tech call the customer and explain what happened? Kind of as a never. That's not in the cards.
it's not their job.
Yeah, sure.
They're there to fix cars, and I'm not going to put them in a position that they didn't sign up for.
Sure.
It's just like I would never ask a technician, we're backed up, we got a bunch of homework, go put brakes on that car. I would never ask a service advisor to go put brakes on that car.
That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. I'm actually going to try to do brakes on the Miata with my son sometime soon.
Oh, cool.
Well, like lefty loosey, righty tighty.
Yeah. I just watch some YouTube stuff and get certified. So
You'd be all set. Yeah, that's a tricky situation with that switch because there's so many things that are unknown right now.
yeah.
You get it so that's why, like at our shop, I feel like we have a little bit of an advantage. All the comebacks, like I personally handle. So it's not he said, she said. I see what the deal is.
You deal with every single comeback for 3 high volume shops. So all you do is put out fires.
I do a lot of fires. 50% of my work's internal.
That's,
And they're not all comebacks. They're not all, a lot of them haven't been delivered to customers. A lot of them have been, hey, we did this and now the car does that. And I'm just like, okay, you guys get on to the next one that's got billable hours. I'll deal with that. But that way, because sometimes, believe it or not, Mike, in a business with multiple technicians, there can be people with personal conflicts with each other. And information can get skewed based on somebody's personal bias towards another person.
yeah, for sure.
And the waters are a lot less muddy when I put my eyes on it versus somebody saying, oh, this dumbass, blah, 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 blah. You don't know because it's too late. The guy pulled it in. You don't even know. For all you know, the guy monkeyed with it to make it. And I'm not saying that's what happened.
I'll say, if you think you've got dudes who are sabotaging cars to make other technicians
You
look
just
bad,
don't know. You don't know. How do you know? How do you know? If you've ever worked at the
think,
dealer.
if you think that's possible, then you just
Are they flat
probably
rate?
If you've ever worked at the dealer, you know that there's sometimes there's there's freaking stuff that goes on.
It's so dirty.
I mean, I don't think it would happen in our shop, but I don't even have to worry about it.
He doesn't have any performance-based pay at his shop. It's all hourly guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer, yeah.
Well,
it's
my
all-
question is this a systemic problem where this technician has had very similar issues, or is this a one and done? Let's learn from it and move forward. And he's fine.
He's on probation right now because he's one of the ones that left a stiff knee under a car and lowered it down, and
okay.
so
Okay, so
the sigh of doom.
he doesn't make a lot of mistakes though. So it's just two. One was obviously a severe mistake, that's what got him on probation, and then this maybe was a neglectful, attention to detail mistake, or maybe there was another situation.
Part of the job is confirming the repair. You didn't do the job.
Yeah.
so
Assuming it was actually left unplugged, right?
sure. Well, are you holding him to the standard of, hey, now you're on probation. Now, if you break the law at all, you're going to jail? Or is this like, hey, you can't make another similar categorical mistake?
Well, so this is not a mistake that put others in danger, right? That's
Sure.
why he was put on probation with them,
Sure.
because it was a mistake, an oversight
Yeah.
that put others in danger.
This
I agree,
is at this
100%.
point, it's an inconvenient
Yeah.
mistake. It's
And
not
it-
even a financial
Yeah, and
burden,
100%.
really.
and it makes us look like an idiot to the customer, potentially makes a customer upset, right? But that's our job up front to deal with those situations when they happen.
Yeah. Do you find that when stuff goes sideways, a lot of times customers aren't really that upset? I don't know.
They,
Maybe we
a
have
lot of
really
times they
good
just want to be
customers.
heard, right?
Yeah.
And like Tanika was talking about yesterday, had a customer that was just raising hell over something that some perceived slight that they had. They had ordered a part, waited 4 days to get there, and the dealership delivered the wrong
The
part.
wrong part. The guy at the dealership ordered the wrong part.
They ordered the right part, but they sent the wrong part. And so they had to order it again. And the customer was losing their mind, said they deserve a discount. And after all the cursing and yelling and histrionics, he said, well, how much of a discount do you want for this inconvenience? Because you've had your car the whole time. The car's not stuck in the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
And the dude wanted $10 off.
Okay.
And so a lot of times people, they want to be heard.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, well, I want to make it right. What do you think's fair? What they think is fair is so much less than what you were willing to do.
Yeah. I would have given you $50 10 minutes ago to shut up.
Yeah.
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 Like,
Well, and I think what she said in that situation, and I don't know if this was while we were recording or before we were recording, but she said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you all of your money back and you go away and never come back.
run. Run away.
I'm paying you to not be in the same room as me anymore.
Yeah. Run. When you see me, run the other direction.
That's classic. He sent us a video of him actually saying that to the customer, right? At the front
That
counter.
was Zeb. That was Zeb.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like,
I know.
This money is not for you to just not be around me. When you see me in public, you run the other direction.
I haven't seen the video, but I'm assuming it's in his like service room, which
Yeah.
is dimly
He's got-
lit. It's like a dungeon.
We need
with,
to-
It's like all painted
We need
black.
to do
Oh,
an
yeah.
offshoot. We need to send Zeb an actual camera and an actual, because they're all Ring camera videos,
Yeah.
so it's not that great. He's
Yeah.
got a Ring camera in there. I think we're going to have to get him convinced that there's
think he
there's
should-
a potential.
a live feed.
He
that we
should
can
just
log
live
in.
feed always his lobby.
He was actually he's going to have Susie get a phone recording system because he fired one over the phone. He fired a customer over the phone. He doesn't have it recorded. He's like, oh, I really wanted that. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to look into inbound or something like that when he gets back to record phone calls.
Wow.
All right, so what's gone just totally sideways off the rails for you recently?
Yeah. Recently. Oh man. I think it's always a scheduling. Well, let me put it this way. It's consistently scheduling issues. So like learning to schedule dynamically and learning like, okay, what are my limits? My inclination is like, hey, if I'm promising you something, I'm going to move mountains to make it work. And really, I don't recognize where I have limitations when I shouldn't be making that promise to begin
you
with.
You find out mountains are really heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 nights ago, this is a true story. 2 nights ago, I was working on a client's car because I knew, okay, it's Tuesday. I've got to leave, halfway through the day on Thursday to come to this event. So, I need to be getting these cars out because we're going to be closed until Monday.
Sure.
So I'm like, I gotta, handle all this. And
Yeah,
so
that was me Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, I was there working until like 1:30 in the morning, and the energy just went through the floor, and I said, I am so tired, I cannot even drive home. And I found the cleanest car to get in, and I got in the back and slept until 6 a.m. and went home, showered, and went right back to work. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. Like, this is absolutely, I am doing something wrong. And I'm not saying that it starts with scheduling, but it's not less than scheduling. And so that is there's not a lot of redundancy in the business either right now with, having one technician. So that definitely adds to the stress of like when he goes home, he does what he can, and then I'm left for the rest.
That's not his. You can't expect him
It's
to work
not
all
his
night,
responsibility.
right?
No,
It's
he
just
doesn't
not-
have that buy-in. He doesn't
Yeah.
have the,
It doesn't make him a bad person.
No, not
it's
at all.
human nature, and it's
just
not
his
what
job.
you're paying him for
No, it's
either,
not.
right?
No, and I don't want him to. I
Yeah.
don't. If anything, let this be a cautionary tale to him of like, hey, if you ever decide to own your own business, don't do what I'm doing in these aspects.
Yeah,
So,
So what are you going to do differently to prevent that from being a recurring theme?
yeah, I think having honest conversations with myself about what I can truly get done in a certain amount of time. A lot of that comes from, I feel the pressure to help everybody. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to help every single customer that calls or every caller that calls the shop. But if I go through the process to bring you in, then I have now committed myself to you. So now I need to honor that commitment. And this week was very strange as well. It was off the rails in a lot of ways. One of them was giving away a lot of work, and I track that pretty religiously, and I gave away a lot of work because I'm trying to make things right. And so sometimes it's like, I don't know how to fix this. I'm just going to give it to you. One of the things that happened was a client reached out, first time customer had reached out and set up an appointment, and I through our automated system, and I was so busy I could not get to them that day, and they had set the appointment for the next day. So it comes through as a request. I could not get to them. Well, I get to work and the car was dropped off, and I'm like, okay, well, we're already have a full schedule, but I'll fit this in. It was like some breaks and
Sure.
And, so I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to be easy. Well, it turned out to not be so easy. And then so, that customer, I felt terrible about it. I'm like, gosh, I should never have brought this in. I should have reached out. I'm not doing my job. And so I, basically gave them the cost of the inspection for free. I didn't charge them for it. And, I had every right to, but also they're not receiving from me what the type of service that they should be receiving. So yeah, it has been really off the rails this week.
So when I hear folks that are, staying at the shop until 1:30 and then sleeping in the back of a car because you can't drive home.
Yeah.
Like you said, not sustainable.
Not sustainable.
When I hear people that are that busy and that backed up, it makes me think you're too cheap. You need to hire more people. Super easy to go out and hire quality people, right? They're just go pick one up off the street. But you can raise your rates to throttle back, how busy you are. But then you've got to have the emotional fortitude to deal with some of your customers giving you pushback about your rates going up, right? Do you think that you can do that?
Oh, there's definitely room for growth. I think it's, the concern for me is I'm not able to demonstrate the value in what they're paying for. So, if hopefully, maybe with the exception of regular maintenance, oil change is, 115 this month, and in 3 months it's going to be 132.
They don't understand the difference between your very quality brake job and the next guy's maybe not taking so much care. But if they don't have a problem with either, they don't understand that they just got lucky they didn't have a problem.
Right.
Or whatever concern, and whatever you're doing, they don't. Yeah, it's hard to convey. If you're going and you're taking the extra steps to just go the extra mile and just do the job a little bit nicer than that, it's very hard to convey to a customer how your job is nicer.
I would challenge you on that statement that you don't know how, or that you can't convey the value to justify the increased cost.
I can. I don't feel confident right now.
That's a mindset thing. Because if you are busy to that level, then you are conveying the value to justify being that busy already. So I don't know what your rates are. It doesn't matter. But I think if you didn't tell anybody and you just raised your rates 10% Monday morning, and you're the one building the estimates, I assume.
Yes.
No one will say anything. No one will even know. Do you have to give parts and labor breakdown on estimates in Kentucky?
No.
Are you job-based pricing?
Yes.
So they don't see what the parts and
Even
labor
if
is
you
anyway.
have to do parts and labor breakdown, you can go up $10. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Easy squeezy.
Been there, done that. Nobody knows.
I track my labor GP and parts GP and the labor GP looks good. So it's like, I don't know if it's a labor rate issue. Maybe I should just be cranking up the margins on the parts, and because I'm kind of on the bottom lower end of where I want to be for parts margins. So I'm like, I don't know which dial to turn to get the result that I'm looking for.
Right.
I know where we need to be. I'm just not sure which knob that I need to be twisting on.
Yeah. How did you choose to set your labor rate?
Initially, I chose to set it based on, what everybody else does going into business. I'm not this shop over here, but I'm not quite this one, so let me do that. Now I have set it on a percentage of my gross profit per hour that I'm seeking after.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good conversation to have on thinking about your expense structure, your labor inventory per month, and what your desired and net profit is, and you can back into what your rates need to be, both on your parts margins and your labor margins, and go from there. But do you accurately consider your labor cost for you as the owner?
I've recently started doing that, and it not in a way where I am necessarily let me put it this way. I do account for my monthly budget to include a certain fixed amount for me every single month. I recently started tracking, hey, I'm in the shop, maybe 10 hours a week. So like if I have to replace me, what does that cost?
Yeah.
And so I started like
I think
implementing
that's
that.
important.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you to do that at that stage.
Absolutely.
100%. Like, because what are you going to do? Like, if you're not structured for it and then you put somebody in, then all of a sudden, instead of having like small increases over time, you've got all of a sudden, oh crap, I got to like make a big bump in my labor. You know what I mean? And if you're already a little concerned about it, that can be a little tough.
Do you have 40 hours of sold labor carrying over every Friday into the next Monday?
Not quite 40. And we're not scheduling out an extremely long period. I mean, right now, if I pulled up, my schedule in TechMetric, which is a sponsor of this podcast.
Superior software for superior shops.
Love it. So I would say
so awesome.
we are scheduling out maybe 4 to 5 days. So
Okay.
yeah, so not, I mean, it's not, I would love to just have like 2 days out. So I don't have like, the stress of like, oh my gosh, I've got to plan so much further out, but it's not a month.
That sounds like, it sounds like maybe a technician would alleviate two problems, right? Your scheduling, right? Because you're like, well, I'd rather be 2 days out. I agree. Because, we do what you kind of do is like, we're scheduled out kind of far when somebody just needs maintenance work.
Yeah.
But if somebody calls me like, my brakes are grinding, I'm like, bring it
Right
now.
now.
Yeah.
Get it here now.
So I think if you've got 20 or 30 hours a week carrying over and you're missing some phone calls and you're booking out 3 or 4
He's in
or
the
5
shop
days,
10 hours a week, so 20 or 30 hours a week is actually 30 or 40 hours a week.
yeah, I think it's 100% time for another tech, right? And I know how easy it is to go get a good tech that's going to put out good quality work that you can trust, and it's going to QC and make sure that the pressure switch is
It's
plugged
tricky,
in.
man.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds like that's the next step in growth, right?
It is. It's definitely, it's not my immediate step. We'll call it the baby step before then is I would love to hire somebody, and I'm not going to say it's just some dream I'll never achieve. I'm just going to hire somebody on the front end. I know exactly what I can pay them. And then I know exactly how many hours in the bay that I need to turn, to be able to cover their salary.
Offset that
Yeah.
person's
Yeah.
salary.
And it's not much, at
Right.
my GP, I mean, it's only like 6.5 or 7 hours, and I can pay for their entire salary for the week. So I'm like, okay.
So
and
how much do you think that person will be paid? You said you know how much they can be paid.
Yes, I can start them out at 25.
Okay.
Yeah, at 25 an hour for like entry level, no experience, just somebody who basically answers phones and books appointments.
Would you still be making the outbound sales calls? Because a $25 an hour service advisor is going to fuck up your average repair order and your customer satisfaction levels, in my opinion.
Yes, so I would still be building out the repair or the estimates, and this person is going to be more of just
You need somebody to run blocker.
Yeah.
there you go. That's a good way to
you
put
need
it.
somebody to
Yeah,
run blocker.
yeah,
Just
need
to
somebody
keep you off the phone when you're
Yep,
not
that's
making
You
it.
need somebody
doing
between
money.
the general public and Josh.
Yeah.
There's no barrier there now.
yeah.
I get that.
If you get one barrier there and that barrier stops 50% of the crap, mission freaking accomplished.
Yeah, and the goal is, get
I
out
know what
of
you
being
mean.
the hub and the wheel. Like that's anything that I can do, even incrementally, to not be, the center of the business
Yeah,
where every
man.
decision, every call, every car has to come through me. Like that is gold. That is like what I'm like running towards.
That's one of the things that I get excited about some of these AI tools that are coming right now, because what you're talking about for an entry level person is, $1,000 a week roughly. And there's some AIs out there that are going to be
$190 a month. Or
yeah,
whatever.
well,
Whatever
they're going to be like
Sure.
$1,500, $2,000 a month, but still, it does that without the human capital is maybe not the right word, but the benefit load and the tax load and the uniforms and all the other kind of expenses that you have to throw on top of that.
Sure.
So I think that's going to be a tool that smaller shops that are growing in their maturity level and size are able to adopt and become a more dynamic business faster, because you can afford $1,500 a month a lot faster than you can afford $1,000 a week.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So there are going to be these tools that are going to make it easier to grow
Definitely.
faster.
Definitely.
So I think it's exciting. So Well, cool, man. It's lunchtime. We've kept you in here for a little while. I don't know if your tummy's grumbling or not, but I'm going to go browbeat Dutch for being Dutch and see how that goes.
Probably wouldn't. I would advise against that.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it works out. Thanks,
Maybe we
man.
should have Braxton.
Glad to be here.
Cool.
Let's do it again.